Welcome to Streaming Into the Void, where we discuss the streaming news for the week ending May 17th, 2026. I'm Kim Hollis, digital marketing expert who will miss Gritty for the next 6 months. I really will.
Aww.
Yeah. With me is Tim Brighty, content creator and gamer, dropping his scheduled release video any day now.
I just need to learn how to edit video, so that won't take any time at all.
Also, David Mumpower, author of Behind the Ride and streaming media analyst, whose mind is already in Florida, even if his body isn't.
I need a vacation.
And the podcast is produced and edited by Raul Buriel, who's editing this episode on a plane. So speak up.
What?
Ambient engine noise. This week, it's on as Paramount's takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery is starting to meet resistance.
Is it, though?
In Europe, the EU is promising a thorough review of the merger, and Deadline revealed that the merger would likely breach Paramount's contract with Comcast for their Sky Showtime joint venture. While in the U.S., FCC Commissioner Ana Gomez and some congressmen also promised a very rigorous review. But it was in California where things got real, as Governor Gavin Newsom increased the state's antitrust litigation budget for an anticipated legal broadside against the merger.
Before we get into the other implications, let's just appreciate the humor of this for a second. In Europe, they're going to say, hey, please agree to our merger. And by the way, we are going to have to break a major contract. That's okay, right? We're cool with that, right? Who negotiates that way? I mean, imagine if you were doing this in any business, be like, I would love to make a deal with you. By the way, I'm not going to honor part of that deal. Do you say no to that? Of course. Everyone says no to that. We're not even to the stupid part yet. Roll, let's get into the stupid part.
Oh, which of these is stupid? The resistance in the U.S. is coming largely from Democrats who have no real power at the moment. Sure, the one Democrat on the FCC is saying there's going to be a rigorous review. What does that even mean? You have no authority. You have no power. The congressmen in Congress are all Democrats. They presently have no real authority. And so for them to say that they're going to look into this seriously, also, this is an antitrust review. Congress has no say in antitrust reviews. So I don't know how meaningful any of this is. The real fight is probably going to be in California specifically, where right now Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount are both headquartered. And the governor, Gavin Newsom, who may or may not want to run for president in the next couple of years, wants to be noticed. And so one of the ways for him to do that is to say that he's going to fight against these mergers that are going to cost all these jobs and raise prices for consumers. And the truth is that he probably has a lot of justification for fighting this merger, but whether or not he is going to win, if there is even a fight, is entirely up in the air. What is hilarious about all this is the Ellisons, who run Skydance and are steering this merger, are saying that they expect the merger to be closed by the end of the third quarter of 2026. And considering the number of forces that are arrayed against them, I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, Raul was first on the wall saying that he wasn't sure this merger would go through. Now, we want to level with you that what we're talking about now is a non-zero chance. That is not the same as a likelihood. It's not even close. However, it does merit a lot of consideration that the state of California, which houses Hollywood, is going, wait a minute, this is absolute trash. We also have other artists saying we are against this deal. Now, we don't have a lot of them, but a couple of people like Mark Ruffalo have stood up and said why, and that's because there is a petition. That petition has been signed by a lot of performers. It hasn't been signed by others because they're afraid of retribution. In other words, the people right now saying, trust us, we're good for it, Skydance, Paramount, are also the ones threatening behind the scenes to punish all sorts of people who speak out against the deal. They wouldn't be making such threats if they didn't need to make such threats. That's interesting to me in and of itself. There is some concern right now that maybe, just maybe, this deal doesn't go through. Do we think that is the likeliest possibility? I'm still on a hard no. I think it's going to go through with some contingencies. However, the new new game plan appears to be dragging this out with a court battle as long as possible, which is interesting because Paramount seems to be sweating the fact that they need this deal closed. And this is where I remind you, there are financial punishments in place in the deal, which will start costing Paramount a lot of money if it's not done by a certain date this year. This appears to be a pressure point campaign where they're just going to make Paramount suffer the financial consequences of 1,000 cuts. Whether or not Paramount is ready to absorb that remains to be seen, but this is where we remind you, nearly half this money is coming from international interests, and it's coming from international interests that the government has said should not be investing in American businesses. There are any number of reasons this deal is trash, and it shouldn't hold up to scrutiny. However, it could be pushed through quickly despite this fact, and that's why we don't know what to think right now. If this were just a couple of years ago, we would be telling you in no uncertain terms this deal probably collapses. Today, we're pretty sure it goes through, which speaks volumes about how strange the world has gotten, but we still don't see it as a certainty.
Meanwhile, the National Football League appears to be winning a battle it's not even fighting, as their antitrust exemption came under threat.
Yes, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that the NFL has a legal antitrust exemption, which allows them to negotiate broadcast rights collectively for the entire league. But as they're looking to negotiate their next broadcast rights, the NFL is moving more and more of their content to streaming. And this is worrying traditional broadcasters, not the least of which is the Fox network, who doesn't have a strong streaming presence and whose existence really depends on having these professional football games. A couple of weeks ago, the Wall Street Journal, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, reported that Murdoch had spoken to President Trump about his concerns, and Trump responded by threatening the NFL's antitrust exemption. Not, in fact, something that he can waive of his own accord. He would need Congress to follow suit, but that's neither here nor there. This news appears to have not gone over well, as Lachlan Murdoch, Rupert's son and the CEO of Fox Corporation, indicated in their latest earnings call that there is no tension with the NFL. And while Rupert and Trump presented this as a pro-consumer move, the truth is that allowing each team to negotiate their own broadcast rights would lead to higher fees and a more fractured broadcast landscape.
We casually discussed this when we talked about Duke's surprising deal with Amazon. That deal I mentioned as a precursor for what we could see next in sports, which is rather than everyone in a conference or everyone in a league making the same deal, individual teams going out on their own and doing their thing, which would make, let's say, Notre Dame, Duke, Ohio State, Alabama, these types of schools, much more desirable. University of Miami would be more desirable than the entire conference because you're getting the games you want rather than having to take the entire league. Because let's be honest, every league has a couple of schools that don't really affect the bottom line any. In the NFL, we have a bunch of teams like, let's say, the Cleveland Browns that historically are just not valuable assets to the league. So everyone bargains collectively. Right now, Rupert Murdoch, who is 95 years old, has flown to Washington and taken the extraordinary step of having dinner with the President of the United States to ask for a Justice Department review of whether or not the NFL is in violation of its antitrust agreement by moving more stuff to streaming. Why is he doing this? The answer is simple. Fox cannot lose its NFL rights. It has had them since the early 1990s, and that deal is why we still think of Fox as a major network. If not for that, Fox would have collapsed long, long ago. As we platform to streaming, Fox took the extraordinary step of selling most of its digital assets to Disney. Now they're trying to hang on long enough to convert a new plan, and that plan is currently Fox One. They're not ready for that yet, so they need to keep all of their broadcast content. And right now, everyone knows the NFL is about to raise their prices. We have discussed this with the Paramount conversation, where Paramount is expecting rates to go up by at least 50%. Right now, two friends of the President of the United States are both leaning on him saying, let's protect the status quo. But the people who make the money, like Amazon, Apple, and Google, are looking around going, we want more of this pie. Rupert Murdoch is right to be nervous about this because if any of those people comes in and bids, Fox can't match those numbers, at least not in a way where they can be profitable. This is a fascinating turn of events with many permutations, and you should be paying attention to this story, even though this particular attempt was clumsy and inept. It didn't work. As Roland and I were game planning before the podcast, we kind of thought about this and agreed. Rupert Murdoch goes and does this and then waits to see how it goes. When it's not received well, Lachlan Murdoch says, oh, never mind, we weren't serious, we like the NFL. That's what you do when you want to try and get public opinion on your side for something, and when that fails, you say, oh, it's just an addled old man, don't listen to him. This was a calculated ploy, and it's not the only one we're going to see in this capacity. Folks, we keep telling you, sports licensing is everything on streaming and broadcast television right now. It is the one thing that matters the most. And so we're going to keep seeing these sorts of instances where somebody does something out of desperation. Never mistake the point. This was Fox making a desperate move because they cannot compete financially.
Hey, Tim, why don't you tell us about the ratings?
Okay, we have the Nielsen streaming ratings for Monday, April 13th to Sunday, April 19th, 2026. You're never going to believe this, but your top original series is The Pitt. Its second season now complete as of this week. About 1.4 billion minutes for its 30 episodes and 2 seasons. Not a surprise. We're going to get a third, of course. So yeah, just stayed on the chart the whole entire season. I expect this to just keep going as long as they can. And we actually may not have that long a wait until season 3. I believe it's slated for early next year. Second is The Boys from Prime Video that returned last week. 918 million minutes, 36 episodes for its final season. I'm expecting it to start falling off here because I'm seeing a lot of negative reaction to it. Now, it premiered with 2 episodes on the 8th, another on the 15th, so it's weekly through this week, actually. The final episode is arriving on May 20th, but I'm not seeing very glowing opinions of this show so far.
Yeah, it's the final season of at least this iteration of The Boys, and I think for anyone who's been sticking with it, they need to stick this landing, so I hope that they can definitely deliver in the end, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be complaining about it, much like the final season of Game of Thrones did not go over well.
Yeah, there's a lot of final season fumbles that have been happening lately. Even like Stranger Things didn't get the greatest reviews too. So yeah, but stay tuned for more opinions about the final season of something. Up to third is Big Mistakes, 580 million minutes. So after some really great weeks on the originals chart, we're in third and we're 580 million. So, this is the first full week for that season. And we are doing some green lights and cancellations, but I will mention here, this got a season 2. So good for them. I glossed over this one last week, but being that it's actually not the worst thing on the ratings chart this week, and it actually is kind of important, I will mention that Trust Me, The False Prophet is fourth, 550 million minutes for the 4-episode docuseries. This is essentially a sequel to another religious expose docuseries called Keep Sweet from a couple years ago. I think we remember that one because that was definitely on the ratings and also had exceptional reviews. This one does as well. So I guess I will grant it its due that it's this week, and someone actually asked if I had heard of this one or had watched it at work this week. So I guess it is doing pretty well. So this one is kind of notable. It is the same filmmaker as that one as well. So sure, why not? I'll give it a mention this week. Invincible from Prime Video is fifth, 519 million minutes for its 32 episodes. Returning in sixth is Beef from Netflix. 498 million minutes for 19 episodes. The second season, unexpected second season of 8 episodes arrived on April 16th. Season 1 was actually back in 2023, was not meant to be a recurring thing, but they turned it into an anthology after how successful that one was. This one, not quite as successful.
Yeah, you kind of want it to have been a bigger success with stars like Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan in it, but that first season definitely had that flash in the pan success that that season 2 doesn't seem to be carrying over. I can't imagine we're going to see a season 3.
Yeah, no info on that one yet, but yeah, I don't see it happening. Not that it's bad, it's just it is a big come down from the first one. Unfortunately, returning in 7th is Temptation Island, 467 million minutes for allegedly only 19 episodes. I don't buy that, Nielsen. This is the latest in the long-running reality series. This is, according to Wikipedia, this is actually season 10. I know they're not all on Netflix. 9 episodes premiered on April 10th. And of course, it's trash TV. People are going to watch it. Amusingly, they titled one of the episodes Heated Rivalry, so I see what you're trying to do there. So I'm curious if you search Netflix for that, if this series comes up. Love on the Spectrum US is 8th, 404 million minutes, 27 episodes. New in 9th, we have a Peacock show, The Miniature Wife, 351 million minutes for its 10 episodes. Premiering on April 9th. So it actually did need the entire week to get on the Nielsen's, but actually I'm impressed that we're seeing it at all.
I wasn't high on this series following the Olympics. I expected that other shows such as The Burbs and Ted would do better. And in fact, we did see The Burbs chart, which was surprising, honestly, even for a Peacock show. This one didn't seem to have any buzz whatsoever, but a Peacock show making the charts is always a reason for them to pop the at least sparkling wine.
Yes, there was some high fives exchanged at Peacock, yes.
Good for them.
Tim once described it as Honey, I Shrunk You. And if you know anything about the box office history of the Honey, I Shrunk franchise, you realize this is the type of concept that is easily accessible, doesn't need much marketing, and people are drawn to it. I don't know why. I've never understood it, but for that reason, I'm not that shocked.
I got inundated with ads for this somehow. I think it was maybe through watching like Jury Duty or something like that. So, but just, yeah, I'm just like, really? But this is the one that sticks. So, okay, sure, whatever. I'm fine with it. Good job, everyone involved in Peacock.
That's the annoying part to me is Ponies actually tried. Like, that was a really good looking show.
Yeah.
Nobody could have cared less than this does well. It's frustrating.
It is upsetting we did not see Ponies, which if I ever have Peacock again, I need to watch. We wrap up originals actually with another rarity because it's an Apple TV show, Your Friends and Neighbors, 332 million minutes for 12 episodes. The second season premiered on April 3rd, weekly from here. So this is 3 episodes into its second season, and that's pretty impressive. This one is, John Hamm. That's right. Okay, I remember now. Always good to see when they were able to crack the chart. It's not a great original chart. Again, there were weeks where we had 4 or 5 shows around or over 1 billion minutes. Not so much this week, but at least we got some new shows at the end there. There doesn't seem to be too much on the horizon, too. So after the Pits finale, I'm a little concerned about this chart. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks, though. Movies is also not great. Still led by Thrash, 619 million minutes from Netflix. So not starting out with a great number for the full week for this movie after it premiered on April 10th. And how bad is it? Number 2, Balls Up, 429 million minutes from Prime Video. A comedy that is such a ridiculous concept and reviewed so poorly, you would think it would star John Cena, but it does not. It actually has Mark Wahlberg and Paul Walter Hauser.
I think that's the movie I must suffer through tonight.
Thank you for taking one for the team.
Sam, it's no fun when you actually do the John Cena jokes for me, okay?
I know. I knew you'd be upset at that one.
Hating talentless hacks is my job, not yours, okay?
Something else new in third, Roommates, 309 million minutes from Netflix. This is a Netflix original released on April 17th. Again, so generically titled, I don't remember it, but then I look and it says, oh, right, it has Sadie Sandler, daughter of Adam Sandler. So I'm sure we talked about it for that week, but again, doesn't ring a bell. Zootopia 2 from Disney Plus is 4th, 255 million minutes, while Crime 101 is 5th, 222 million minutes. That one is also Prime Video. Returning in 6th, Spider-Man No Way Home, 208 million minutes from Disney Plus. David, you offered a possibility as to why it's suddenly resurging on the chart here.
Well, Spider-Man Brand New Day hasn't released a trailer yet officially,
Yes.
but it has generated a lot of buzz, and I wonder if that is causing renewed interest in the previous films.
It's possible. Yeah, we have a teaser, but not really a full trailer. I do remember seeing that this one is coming later this summer, which at least that's something that should be big at the box office this year. But yeah, I was curious to see it just appear back on the chart because it's not like it's Netflix where it just suddenly showed up. It's always been on Disney Plus and suddenly not a big number, 208 million, but suddenly appear on the chart is very curious.
Yeah, we haven't seen it in at least a year, but for a long time we were seeing like the bottom of the charts consist of titles like Avengers Endgame, Frozen, Frozen 2, where they were always in that 150 to 200 million range, and sometimes they would sneak up into the top 10. What I'm wondering is whether Spider-Man No Way Home, which is, let's be honest, one of the most successful films of the 2020s, has actually always been in that range as well. This is just the first time we're seeing it here.
Yeah, and given Nielsen's methodology, you never know either. And seventh is the worst thing on the ratings this week. Husband, Father, Killer, the Alyssa Plattle story, 208 million minutes, credited to Hulu and Netflix. And yes, you guessed it, it's one of those Lifetime things that aired in 2024 that then is repackaged and shows up on Netflix as of this ratings week. K-pop Demon Hunters, 199 million minutes in eighth. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which we saw that last week. Again, new to Netflix as of 2 weeks ago, 191 million minutes. And we wrap up movies with The Requiem, 150 million minutes. Ew. I do not have a date for when this showed up on Netflix, but it is a 2022 film. Oh, I know why it's here. Hey, it's about sharks. Guess what? So is Thrash. So I wonder if that's what Netflix is recommending after you watch Thrash.
That explains the title, because despite the fact that it is The Requiem,
yes,
requin is French for shark. Also, you could apparently watch it for free on Tubi right now.
Of course you can. It screams Tubi movie. And by the way, it stars Alicia Silverstone. Wow. Okay. Never actually released in theaters. It was straight to on demand from back in 2022. So yeah, Tubi kind of makes sense. I don't have information that it's new to Netflix, but given the topic, yeah, I would have bought the Meg, but this one, really? Anyway, Acquired is 10 shows we have seen before, led by the almighty Bluey, 833 million minutes for its 154 episodes. The only other notable thing on here is returning in eighth is Euphoria, 556 million minutes for 18 episodes from HBO Max, of course. The third season, which we never actually thought might exist, arrived on April 12th, and then it's weekly from here. The fact that it's here, pretty good, but much like The Boys, I don't expect to see this one much longer because this is getting even more drag than The Boys is. As we're all big Euphoria fans, I'm sure we're all agreeing, but it's a miracle that it exists. We joked that after the second season, everyone's price went way up, especially Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney. But yeah, it's a miracle that it's here. I don't expect to see it much longer, though, despite it being weekly through the end of May.
Yeah, before Euphoria, Zendaya already had a high price. Sydney Sweeney was free to a good home, and now she's one of the biggest stars in the world. So that's how much the show made her. But let's be honest, there was too long a delay from season 2 to season 3. And in between that, there was The Idol, which ruined the show creator's reputation.
So, God, it's the same guy? Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of this isn't that surprising. It's just disappointing. It is, by all accounts, a train wreck of a season that is somehow offending a lot of people, including pretty much every female on the planet. So nice job.
Oh, dear. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we see it again. I'm not banking on it based on what I'm seeing. But yeah, it has become train wreck hate watching. That actually may more likely to keep it on this list, but we'll see. So that's at least something to look forward to. So, yeah, I'm concerned for the future of this chart. It's like I'm probably forgetting something obvious, but after the Pitts finale, it may be pretty bleak next few weeks on originals. But we'll see. And that's all I have on the ratings for this week.
All right. Thank you, Tim. In our green lights and cancellations this week, it's upfront season, so the streamers had a lot of announcements. In addition to casting news and release dates, Prime Video revealed that Reacher has been renewed for a 5th season.
That's the money truck backing up.
L.C. Silver's Rose Hill novels have been greenlit for a series on the streamer. And Fourth Wing from Rebecca Yaros's The Empyrean book series has finally been given the green light on Prime Video.
If I understand correctly, this is one of those romantasy series.
It is. It's terrible.
Oh, boy. And apparently it's been in the work for years. So evidently it takes a long time to turn something terrible into a series on Prime Video.
It does have dragons, so there's that.
Well, Rose Hill is apparently a steamy small-town romance collection following rugged single dads navigating love and family in a remote mountain town. So I think it's two of a kind here.
They work together, yes.
Also, I don't remember signing away my life rights.
And, Reality Retreat is coming to Prime Video with Julie Chrisley, Hilaria Baldwin, and Come on, let's be honest. Who cares?
Isn't Julie Chrisley in jail?
They were, I believe, but I think they somehow have been released because we live in a terrible country.
A reality show that we do care about is Jury Duty, as the series has been renewed for a third season.
As someone who's obviously enjoyed both seasons, I have my doubts about whether they can pull this off a third time. I think you have to take it out of California / the LA area. Otherwise, people are just, unless you somehow find a unicorn a third time, they're going to figure it out.
I'm going to make a counterpoint here, Tim. Our friend Reagan Selesky pointed out a Reddit discussion about GameStop's offer for eBay. Anyone who's ever had rudimentary math knew that was a bad thing. And yet, if you go to that Reddit, you can find people saying eBay are absolute idiots to turn down the deal. And I'm like, yep, there's the next contestant on Jury Duty right there.
No, you need good people. You don't need those. You don't need those idiots.
I will point out that there were 3 seasons of the original Joe Schmo show, as well as an additional reboot season in 2025. So there's plenty of gullible people out there. Let's hope that they're all sweet and kind people.
I am hoping, though, for the twist that happened in I think it was the second Joe Schmo season, where one of them figured it out. So then they just kind of made her part of the cast for the rest of it and then added a new person. So I would love to see that twist if they do it in the third season.
Prime Video has also picked up the rights to Will Smith's upcoming action movie, Supermax.
This maybe is an attempt for Will Smith to get back into Hollywood's good graces, but reportedly this movie is not going to go to theaters, which is very unusual now these days for Prime Video, who is making a renewed commitment to theatrical releases. So either they feel the script isn't good enough, or they feel that Will Smith doesn't have that much goodwill yet, because the movie has only just started production and already they're writing it off as, let's just put it on streaming.
Netflix wasn't about to let Prime Video get all the spotlight, as they also made a number of announcements. While it was revealed that The Night Agent would end with season 4 and The Lincoln Lawyer would end with season 5, a number of other series are just getting started. Dan Levy's Big Mistakes has been renewed for a second season, as Tim referred to earlier. My Life with the Walter Boys was renewed for season 4 before season 3 has even premiered, and Running Point has been renewed for season 3, as well as Love is Blind, which has been renewed for an 11th season, but this time it'll be different. It'll be set in Boston.
So these are all going to be good, fine, upstanding people.
I mean, good for Big Mistakes. My Life with the Walter Boys. Oh, okay, right. We haven't even gotten season 3 yet, so it's the thing again where you're just getting renewed like immediately or not at all. And hey, not the Lakers show. It's a season 3. Cool.
I am amused about The Night Agent because, well, after season 2 of The Night Agent, they got rid of the character of Rose Larkin, who was the most watchable thing about the show. And then people stopped watching in season 3, and they've announced she won't be back on season 4, and they're canceling it. That is cause and effect right there. As for Running Point, my understanding is the numbers are way down this season, so I am a little surprised about that one.
AMC Plus has scored U.S. streaming rights to the modern seasons of Doctor Who, or at least those from 2005 to 2022.
Yeah, that's right. The original Doctor Who episodes, going way back to the 1960s, are not included in this. And of course, the new modern episodes are only up until 2022, because after that, Disney started co-producing episodes with the BBC, so they have the rights there. I would venture to say that this is a...
Is it a licensing nightmare?
Yes, it is.
And finally, on Hallmark Plus, Hope Valley 1874, the prequel to their modern Western romance, One Calls the Heart, has scored a season 2 renewal.
I know nothing about this, but I do occasionally glance at the Hallmark subreddit, and I've seen speculation that this is actually Hallmark's Outlander series, and that there's something happening with like the river there that they think involves time travel. So between this and what we're going to discuss on This Week in Streaming, well, let's just say that Hallmark is taking some chances.
As always, we close it out with what's been keeping us busy over the last week. And besides watching a lot of basketball and hockey, we did get a chance to watch Sam Raimi's film Send Help, which stars Rachel McAdams. I know that David didn't enjoy it like I did, but I thought it was a very funny take on the male-female power struggle. I see a lot of people responding to it the same way I did, but I also see people responding to it the same way David did. I think it's a somewhat polarizing film. It's not necessarily scary, but it does have moments of Sam Raimi-ness, which is to say jump scares or gory things. But yeah, it's definitely a fun time at the movies, and I recommend it. So give it a shot. Raul, how about you?
I had an opportunity this last week to not do anything other than to have to watch something on streaming for several hours straight. And so I ended up watching Man on Fire on Netflix. This is the new series starring my new favorite action actor, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. It is a remake of the Tony Scott movie starring Denzel Washington, Man on Fire. And it hits some of the similar points as the original movie, but also deviates heavily in many other places. It starts off with the same basic concept of a man who used to do special operations and is notorious or famous for being very good at this, but is now over the hill and somewhat troubled by his difficult past, and then goes very much off the reservation. In the first 4 episodes, they cover almost all the same elements as the movie. Episode 4 even ends with a scene very similar to the climatic finale to the movie with a hostage situation and people in a car. And then the subsequent episodes take the story in an entirely different direction. I can assure you that if you have seen the movie, it's a different story. So don't let what you know from the original movie sway you here. It's got basically the same characters doing different things. Ultimately, by the end, it's a lot of me and my buddies getting into a big action climatic scene. There's a lot of shooting. There's a lot of people getting killed and stabbed and beat up in several different ways. It really falls apart in the final climatic sequence, especially as our heroes have to end up shooting and killing what I would say are good guys, police officers and soldiers who are probably only there to keep the peace and stop bad things from happening. So it really, really kind of doesn't know where to go with the story by the end, only to know that it needs to have a nice, tightly packaged conclusion. It was enjoyable enough if you like action movies and you like to see a hero with a gun killing bad guys with guns. But beyond that, sure, the acting is great from our lead. The female spends way too much time just screaming. She is underwritten. That is not the fault of the actress. That is arguably the fault of our screenwriters who don't know what to do with her. It is an unfortunate bit of writing there. They do give you a sequence at the end that suggests that they're ready for a second season if they want to go with it, but I don't know that it's necessarily going to find a second season. I guess we'll find out with the ratings in a couple of weeks whether or not it got enough numbers to warrant a renewal.
Tim, what's been keeping you busy?
Not too much. As I talked about last week, the 2 Point Museum latest DLC is out. Again, highly recommended to pick all of that up whenever it's on sale. It's hours and hours of just so much fun. The best 2 Point game of the series. Also, I don't mention Magic too much lately, but I need to mention the in-universe sets when I can, because we're about to get a bunch of more universes beyond, including like a Marvel set or something like that I don't care about. One of the universes they will not do for multiple reasons is Harry Potter. And that is because they have their own take on Wizard School dubbed Strixhaven. There was a set a few years ago that introduced it, and their most recent release was called Secrets of Strixhaven, which brings it back, new mechanics, new spells. It's a very fun, enjoyable set to collect and play. So I will promote that one again because it's in-universe and not external IP, which I have very mixed feelings over coming into Magic. I understand why they do it. They keep saying how successful those sets are, but I have to support the in-universe ones when I can. But yeah, going back to Strixhaven was a good choice, and I highly recommend it if you're looking to jump into or back into Magic right now.
And David.
Kim's lying. Send Help is trash. There's something that happens in the third act that is infuriating. The story is an absolute train wreck if you put any thought into it whatsoever. I love Sam Raimi. I hate saying bad things about Sam Raimi Productions, but yikes, this one needed somebody to tell him, oh no, you can't do that. That's dumb. Nobody did that, so yeah, it's dumb. Also, the female protagonist, the story idea is phenomenal and well justified. The implementation of it, oh no. Is she in love or not? I don't know. They played it both ways. It doesn't make sense. Total bust of a story, just doesn't work upon any reflection. Also, Kim made me watch Widow's Bay, and I'm not enjoying that either, so I'm picking the next thing.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Widow's Bay so far. It's definitely more a me show than it is a David show. It's definitely billed as a humor/scary show, and I'm definitely seeing the humor in it quite a bit. It makes me laugh a lot. And I also just enjoy the mystery. It gives Stephen King vibes, but in a less dark way, I think. I enjoy it. I recommend it.
Widow's Bay is the single best episode of The X-Files ever.
Sir, you owe X-Files an apology.
I have to say, I always enjoy when David and Kim disagree because it's so rare.
It really is. Like, we're always like caught off guard when it happens because we can usually tell and we're just like, really? You're not? Huh?
Yeah,
okay.
It's true. It's true.
You would not believe the random stuff we agree on. Like, it is eerie. It is. But yeah, I am not with her on this at all. The other point I want to make about Widow's Bay, and I feel pretty strongly about this is the same premise as Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country did it better. That's my thing.
Thank you for listening to Streaming Into the Void. Please consider subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. And we welcome your feedback. Remember that we're on social media at Streaming Void and online at streamingvoid.com. If you like what you're hearing, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon at patreon.com/streamingvoid. Be sure to watch for us again next week.